Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. I would like to make tonight a bit interactive. Obviously, everybody is muted, but please, if you have questions as we go along, hello, Jenny. Please unmute and wave at me and yell and ask whatever questions you need to. My plan for this evening was not really so much the technical side of the business, but more the technical side of the products. My goal so far this year has been to listen once again to all the recordings that I have on my phone. So they play randomly whenever I'm driving. And I've been listening to a couple of Don Lawson's just recently. And every time I listen to him, I pick up something new. Yeah, obviously there's the Jim McAfee talks, but Don Lawson he's just on another level altogether, and he's a major loss to the company. But are you aware that there's a transcription booklet in the Eagle Team back office? Let's just remember what it's called. I've got it over here. Had it over here earlier. Sorry, I'm a bit disorganized. It's Don Lawson on GR2 control, herbal alternatives, your body and nutrition, plus tips on home care. And it is available to purchase from Eagle Team, but it is also available to download for free in the Eagle Team back office under the media. Download it as a PDF. I've got it on my phone. And it's an amazing book. It is a transcription that Charlie had done of all of Don Lawson's tapes. Now, all of those Don Lawson recordings are also available for free from the Eagle Team back office under media as well. Those of you who are on the last talk that I did spoke about the Eagle Team office, back office on the new website, and showed you where a lot of the DVD or CDs are. And the Don Lawson talks are all there. And this booklet is a transcription of those talks. So obviously the current buzzword is nutrition and health, because everybody is, I hesitate to say paranoid, but to a certain extent, they're paranoid about the pandemic. And at this stage, I think we probably all know somebody who's had it or have had it ourselves. And sadly enough, we also know people who have died. As we know, Charlie came very close to that one, but he survived. And I book it down to our nutrition. So because of this sudden, I should say sudden increase in awareness of nutrition, even the medical talks, the doctors are talking about vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D. And I was a little bit amused and saddened the other day when I listened to a webinar and the doctor said, while you are sick, these are the things you need to take. You need to take all the drugs that they mentioned, and you need to take your vitamin C and your zinc and your D. Barry. And as soon as your symptoms are over, you can stop using your vitamins. And I'm going, no, you need to keep using your vitamins, because as soon as your symptoms are over, you're not well. You may have recovered, but you haven't recovered 100%. And they're starting to see recurrences at the moment, more sort of side effects than anything else, that include things like COVID pneumonia. And in my opinion, we still need the vitamins and the supplements to keep our immune systems as strong as possible, mostly to avoid the possible next wave. We had the first wave, it went down. Then we got whacked with the second bout, and I think that is the one that I had, and that's our phasing out. And there's talks of a third one coming along, so who knows? But we need to be prepared. And the best way to do that is to boost your immune system. Now, any self-respecting doctor and probably self-respecting dietitian will always tell you, you don't need to take supplements because you get everything you need from a balanced diet, which is correct. They're not lying about that. Unfortunately, with today's lifestyle, about 98% of people, possibly more, are not getting that balanced diet. Therefore, they are falling short. And a supplement is exactly that. It is in conjunction to a balanced diet. So your diet is key. Now, there's a difference between diet and nutrition. Diet is what you eat. Nutrition is what your cells absorb. And this is where Neolife kicks in, and they do things differently. So we are not just a vitamin company. We're not just a supplement company. We are a completely different level. It's not even higher grade. This is above doctorate level. So what they've done, and this all started way back when the first research started in about 1948. Obviously, the company was formed in 1958, but the research had already been going for 10 years before then. And that is where all of this came from. So it is scientifically researched. Now, the problem with most nutrition supplements is that there are very few scientific medical research studies done, because they are food-based. Pharmaceutical companies cannot patent food, therefore they can't make any money, therefore they don't do the research. And doing research is a very expensive pastime. And I do believe that COVID is one massive, great, big medical research session that we're going through at the moment. Because at the end of the day, the doctors really don't know how to handle it, because virtually every patient is responding in a different way. And normally you have a virus and they say, right, if you do this, this, and this, these are the results you're going to get. And COVID doesn't follow those rules. It's a different animal altogether. And if you've had it, you know all about that. So what we've got to do is take nutrition in a different manner. And everybody by now is aware that they need to take vitamins, specifically C, zinc, and D. They're not always sure why they need to take it. They don't even know how it works. Quite honestly, most of the doctors don't know how it works. But they've got an idea, and they're getting a better idea as things go along. But this is where our guys kick in with the technology side of things. And I don't know how many of you are aware of the technology that actually goes into our supplements. Number one, they only use organic, non-GMO, normal human food, fruits, vegetables, whole grains. And that on its own is an extremely difficult task, because if you go to the big industrialized countries like the States, the vast majority of their grain crops are GMO. You come here to South Africa, the vast majority of our grain crops are GMO. So they don't get their raw ingredients from the USA or from South Africa. They go to the European companies where GMOs are banned, and they go to organic farmers. And to be certified organic is quite a rigmarole, and quite expensive. But when they do the products, and this is why we keep running out of zinc and C, because you can't rush organic food. If it was sort of a factory farm, you could push your fertilizers and push your ultraviolet lights and boost the growth, which is exactly what happens if any of you live in a sugarcane area and you see towards reaping period, you'll see the choppers and aircraft come over and they're spraying the crops with a ripening agent, because naturally, as you've planted your crop, one part of the crop will ripen before the other part of the crop. So because time is money, you don't want to reap this part of the field, and then you've got to come back a few days later and reap the other part of the field, and then you come back a few days later and reap another part of the field. So it's easier to go and spray a chemical over the whole lot to force the ripening of the plant so that they can reap the whole field in one go. And that is part of the problem with our food chain these days. So organic doesn't work like that. When they are testing those products as well, so not only do they only use specific farmers and specific seeds and specific plants, but they test every batch. Now with the herbal range, when they order the herbs, and the herbs are obviously picked and sent off to the factory, they do a DNA test on those herbs. They're not just going to accept the fact that this could be rosemary, this could be lavender, this could be mint. They're going to do a DNA testing first. That's expensive. Then they quarantine that batch to see if there's any fungus or any other fun stuff that comes along. That takes time before they then start to process. And as they process, they're doing random tests because we operate under a pharmaceutical license. Now, most nutrition companies don't operate like that. Most nutrition companies are completely unregulated. So they can take a capsule, they can put some sawdust or whatever inside there and say, this little tablet is the answer to every known disease, and it will cure you of all problems. Take it and you'll be good. But they've got no research, or they'll say that these products have been researched, but they don't tell you who's researched them, how they've been researched, and for how long those researches have happened. And when they did the research, how did they do the testing? They won't tell you that because most times they don't know. Whereas with Neolife, they do human clinical studies, which sets us apart from any other nutrition company in the world, because humans are supposed to be having the products. So therefore, we've got to test on humans. We can't test on animals. We test on humans. And then if you look at things like carotenoid complex, most people will know about a carotenoid now. A few years ago, they didn't, but well, they've heard of carotenoids. They've heard of beta-carotene. That is one of the carotenoids. Neolife has isolated out over 600 carotenoids to put together in that little black capsule. And because carotenoids are an antioxidant, you cannot process that raw ingredient and put it into a capsule in an oxygen-rich environment, because it will go rancid and go off very, very quickly. So they had to invent their own machinery. So they have patented unique machines where it is a nitrogen-rich environment whereby they encapsulate the carotenoids, which is what makes it unique and which is what makes it so effective as well. Arthur First, Dr. Arthur First, as you know, was the world's leading toxicologist he started doing cancer research before cancer was even a thing, and was doing research on heavy metals long before that became a thing as well. And interestingly enough, he didn't like doing medical tests on animals. So he developed a technique whereby he used earthworms to test the effects of heavy metal poisoning. And that is still a viable used test these days. That was developed by Arthur First. So when he was doing research on minerals, he realized that minerals, even in raw food, are not easily absorbed. So what he did was he developed a way to encapsulate the mineral in an amino acid. Now, as we know, our bodies are made up of proteins and amino acids. Obviously, the most common amino acids are the ones found in your NutriShake and Neolife Shake. There are 22 amino acids that are recognized to work with proteins to make a complete protein. And we need all of those in one sitting for your body to be able to utilize it correctly. So what Dr. First did was he not only formulated a way to bond an amino acid to the mineral, but he did a double layer, and he called it chelation. Now, chelation, the way that Don Lawson explains it, is a little bit like Velcro. If any of you have ever used Velcro, you understand how it works. There's a hook and there is a loop. And the hook grabs hold of the loop, and that is how the Velcro sits together. Now, if you continue to use that Velcro, eventually the hooks pull through the loops and your Velcro doesn't stick so good anymore. But we don't have that problem, because by the time that the amino acids have been absorbed in the system and they've hooked onto the minerals, our body's able to process it, and we don't have to worry about that anymore, because it's a one-time use of Velcro. And that is just another unique thing. So when you are listening to customers or even team members who say, I'm taking vitamin C that I bought from Dis-Chem because it's cheap, and I'm taking a good dose a day, I'm taking 1,000 milligrams in the morning, and I'm fine. And you go, all right, you've taken your 1,000 milligrams this morning. When did you take your second dose? And they go, no, I took 1,000 milligrams this morning. I'm okay. It's 1,000 milligrams. So 1 gram of vitamin C that has to be potent enough to boost my immune system. That's where we have to kick in, because this is exactly why this business came about in the manner that it was, because the early guys did not want our products to land up on a shelf in a place like Dis-Chem or Health Shop or Clicks and just be lost in the crowd of other supplements. That is why we have to undergo this training, and why we need to be trained on a regular basis to explain the difference. So with vitamin C has a half-life of 30 minutes in your blood. So what that means is that it's 8 a.m. this morning, you've taken your 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Within half an hour, so by 8:30, half that vitamin C has disappeared. So you only have 500 milligrams left. By 9 o'clock, you have 250 milligrams left. By 9:30, you have 125 milligrams left of your 1,000 milligrams. By 10, you have vitamin P, you don't have vitamin C. So you need to now take another 1,000 milligrams to last you for the next 2 hours. Our vitamin C, not only is it made from food, technically, as far as I'm aware, it is made from corn, as well as having the other ingredients like rosehip and rutin and other bioflavonoids. So a lot of people will say, oh, but your vitamin C is so expensive. And why does it have 10 different ingredients? That's where we've got to explain the difference. Because our vitamin C is made from food, and it's made from the pith of the food, where your greatest concentration of vitamin C is found in those bioflavonoids and the C. The early researchers said that vitamin C was just as effective if it was synthetic as ascorbic acid or as food. But later research has shown that it's not as effective, that the food is significantly more effective than ascorbic acid, which is what your commercial vitamin Cs are. Our vitamin C is also done or formulated in a manner that is sustained release. So it is a slow release system, meaning that our vitamin C will stay in your blood circulating in the correct amounts for up to 6 hours before you have to have more. I have noticed that in the COVID units, doctors are injecting via intravenous drips large doses of vitamin C a couple of times a day. And Linus Pauling has done a lot of research on vitamin C, and they are using vitamin C in massive doses, mega doses, in fact, intravenously because the stomach cannot handle that amount to treat cancer. And they're having very, very good results with that. That's wiping out virtually all known cancers. But that is an ongoing research, and they obviously can't commercialize it just yet, and I don't know if they ever will, because again, pharmaceutical companies try and blow them out the water. But know that the research is there and it's ongoing. So that's the other thing. When you look at things like our acidophilus, again, the technical side of it, that might be a tiny little capsule, but it is a nuclear bomb. Your nuclear bombs weren't very big, but they made a very big mess. You could have a 10-ton normal bomb and it would destroy a building. You could have a half-ton nuclear bomb and it would flatten a city. And that is how I look at our acidophilus, because not only does it have 5 different strains, and those strains have all been independently tested and researched to show that they are beneficial, but we have 1 billion of each strain guaranteed delivery. So when you look at your acidophilus bottle and you look at the expiry date, which is usually about 2 years after the initial manufacture date, they will guarantee you will have a minimum of 5 billion live bacteria released in your small intestine through the slow release or the timed release technology that they've got on that around each range of bacteria inside that little capsule. They've also put an acid-proof covering. So when people say, oh, I don't need a probiotic, I'm taking yogurt, or I am taking a probiotic, it's quite fun, and I keep it in my cupboard. What they don't realize is that if it is live bacteria, it needs to be kept in the fridge, otherwise it goes off. If it is in liquid form, every time you open the lid, it becomes oxygenated and goes off. If you are having sweetened yogurt, that sweetened yogurt is full of sugar, which has killed off all the bacteria. So what you essentially are having is a placebo, because in most cases it's not actually doing anything. So there is where the technology that our company does goes to the next level. Now, I think most people are aware, specifically on this talk, that Neolife also has developed a unique toy, which I don't think any other company has got. And as far as I'm aware, it was originally designed and invented by Dr. Arthur First as well. And that is an artificial stomach. So you know that you take your supplement, you swallow it, and it goes down into through all your intestine into your acid stomach, where your stomach then breaks down everything, and I'm talking food as well as supplements or anything else that you have. So everything is broken down by acid in the stomach, hydrochloric acid, which that hydrochloric acid is stronger than battery acid, just by the way. And then it dissipates it out into the small intestine and through into your system. We are designed in an amazing way. I have to move it because I'm running out of time. So what they've done is they've put an acid-proof covering on the bacteria in that acidophilus, and they put an acid-proof covering over the garlic, because that is also very sensitive and can get broken down too much in the stomach, because some people have got more acid in their stomach than others. And the older we are, the less hydrochloric acid we have in our stomach, mostly because we're not absorbing vitamin B as effectively, which is what allows the stomach to generate the hydrochloric acid, which is why anybody over the age of, and I'll be generous and say 45, should be on a vitamin B supplement, because you need to keep your B levels high in order to keep that hydrochloric acid production at optimum level to allow your body to absorb the nutrients that it needs. But we don't want to also break down the good stuff in the garlic allium and the acidophilus. So by inventing the artificial stomach and seeing what happens, that is where they were able to develop and design the acid-proof covering. Then they went another step further a few years later, and they invented an artificial intestine, so they can trace from mouth to exit exactly how our supplements are utilized throughout the body. That is technology that is unique to Neolife, that as far as I know is not found in any other nutrition company, quite probably not found in any other pharmaceutical company, to be quite honest, because they have other means and ways of testing things. And that is the potency and the difference in Neolife. We can talk on the difference in Neolife for the next 5 hours, at least I can. But this is where we have to educate people. So that was just, and I'm leaving a little bit of time. We've got about 7 minutes left, so I'm leaving a little bit of time for questions. But that is just a brief outline of some of the technology that we've got in the company in the processing of our products. As you know as well, your whatever bottle of supplements you've got, there is a unique batch number underneath. If there is a problem with this bottle and we contact Neolife, through that batch number, they can trace exactly where the raw ingredients were planted, when they were planted, what batch of seeds they came from, which row they were sown in, on which farm in the world. That takes some doing. That is why we can be rest assured of the quality of the products. And even though it's highly irritating when you get vitamin C in and 48 hours later it's sold out for another week, the reason why, because you can't speed up nature. As certain of my patients get told, and I'm looking below me on the screen as well, when you have an injury in your body, you can't speed up nature. So things take time, and God created those times for a specific reason. If you speed things up, you're messing with the way it was developed and designed. Don't mess with nature. So that is me for my talk over here. We've got 5 minutes. If anybody has got questions, please unmute and fire away. If you've got comments as well, if I've missed anything or if you've misunderstood anything, please tell me. Go, Debbie. Unmute.
Well done, Sean. That was fantastic. Well done. Just wanted to let everybody know, if they don't know already, that at head office, they've actually got a floor, a whole floor at the top that is a pharmacy, like it's a pharmacy,
Mhm.
and they do tests. When those products come in, they're tested to see that they're still exactly as they were when they left America or wherever they came from. So everything is tested over and over again. And we've actually got a full-time pharmacist in that laboratory doing all the testing. So it's actually, we can honestly say and take our products with confidence, knowing that what they say is on the label is exactly what's in that bottle.
Correct. Mark Lohman did a talk on a podcast, and he was going through a lot of these tests and things. And his comment was that at one facility, and they've got a few facilities, again, Neolife produces and processes all of their own supplements. They do not subcontract out to anybody else. They get the raw ingredients from specific areas, but they process every single supplement themselves. And Mark Lohman's comment was that he was going through one particular facility, and he said, in the course of the manufacture of one batch, they can do upwards of 4,000 tests on that batch of product. All of those things cost money. I don't mind spending money on a quality product. So if you're having a cheap vitamin, you are getting your money's worth. Barry?
When we had to do those university certificates of the products and the company and that, I was actually amazed how they described in so many ways the processes, the testing, the research, and the integrity that went behind everything that they did. And you know, you hear about this is it, and they describe basically your product's this, and this is the guarantee, and this is the quality. But you know, when you do those certificates, those 6 certificates of the different products in there, and the questions they ask, and when you listen to the actual talkers, the speakers, it really makes you think that, you know, some people say Neolife's, you know, or this and that, but there's no Mickey Mouse in this company.
No.
The research and the technology is way beyond. In fact, I think it's probably the best out of all other companies that sort of like do our products and that type of thing.
I wouldn't even say we're a gold standard, we're a platinum standard.
Yeah. I was actually quite amazed. It really opened my eyes when we did those things.
And that is what we need to put across to our customers when they complain about price. And I'll tell them straight, look, I don't have time to go into all the research, but I can assure you that what you're getting is the best quality supplement available on the market in the world today. Just for instance, when they pulled the iron supplement, we were all upset. But they found one particle in that iron supplement that didn't meet their standards. There is no way that we would have known that if they weren't doing the research. Must have cost them a fortune to pull that range because iron is very popular and very vital. But they found one thing in there that didn't meet their standards, so they cut their losses and they pulled the product. They are busy with research now because they have found the raw ingredients that they're looking for that is to their standards and reformulating it. But we would never have known otherwise. We have about a minute left. If anybody wants to make
you can't compromise on quality. There's no way you can compromise, because when you compromise one thing, it snowballs because it goes to another thing and then to another thing, and then what do you end up with?
Yeah. All right, time is about to bomb out. Thank you, everybody. I hope
thank you.
I was able to teach you a little bit, and I learned a lot from this, from my research as well. So thanks for putting up with me.
Have you
And,
recorded it?
Thank you very
Yes, I
much.
have.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Sean.
and we will see you on Saturday.
Just
Yes.
remember kick off.
Lovely. Thank you all.
Thank
Saturday
you,
afternoon.
Sean. Thank you. Bye. God bless.
Thank you.